Okay, welcome back to the long on hiatus ABL review. That's what I call it. I forgot. Dakota's here. It's the ABL podcast here. The ABL review. So, I'm gonna slowly start putting out these videos. We're covering playoffs. I'm gonna try to put them out kind of back to back to back. That way, it's been a long time, but I figured I should cover these. And if I'm gonna build up and do the whole playoffs, I'm gonna do the whole playoffs, with the exception of the play-in games. And I'm going to tell you why for a couple of reasons. Number one, don't look at this if you know, spoilers and whatnot. Just look over here. So there we had these play-in games. One was a forfeit. The other one did happen, and then there was another forfeit. So out of the East, only one of the three happened. And then a similar thing happened over in the West, where there was an automatic forfeit that put one team over here, and then we only had one game to play. So out of 6 games that were supposed to happen, only 2 did happen. So I'm skipping the play-in games. I might reference them briefly, but otherwise we're just going to jump into the games. And here we have one of our so this would be the conference semifinals, or the championship finals, depending on how you look at it. Okay, or quarterfinals, not finals. That's dumb. So got Logan taking on Jabron. Jabron with the number 1 seed. Logan's path here was he did a play-in game versus Curtis. Lost that play-in game. Was supposed to play against Zeng. Zeng forfeited, which allowed Logan to make it here. So Logan made it into the playoffs. You know what? I feel kind of like Logan's story this season's a little bit weird, because let me jump over to his thing here. Like, I didn't put he should have another line here, but I skipped it. He's got 3 wins by forfeit this season, including a postseason win. So out of games he played and won, he beat Connor and is the only person in the regular season to beat Jabron. So uneven performance for Logan this season. I think maybe the adjustment to Terra might have been a problem for him, but I actually have some data that I might go into later about terrestrialization that I think is pretty interesting. But let's hop into his game versus Jabron. I haven't seen this in a long time, so I'm gonna just kind of go through it kind of slow. So we got the Rodent Fan versus Toxpex. Good lead for Logan. Pretty obvious Garchomp switch in here. Logan kind of has to make that play. Now he switches out there. I think that tells me that this Rotom is likely choiced. Because I think if you're not, you probably have Will-O-Wisp or something, so you're going to stay in versus this Garchomp. I think it's safe to stay in. He's going to go into the Corviknight. Pretty safe switch in as the spikes go up. He's going to go hard into Espeon here. So I'm kind of surprised by this play. I don't think Terra Fire Fang would have 2-hit KO'd Corviknight. So that's kind of an interesting call there. Maybe I'm wrong on what the calc is. But also gives you like a chance to burn, a chance to flinch. You could probably come out on top there. But, Fire Fang there. That was, I don't think that was a prediction on the incoming Espeon. I think that was Logan went into the Espeon to try to get a spike up over here. But Espeon ends up coming out on top there. Now he's going to go hard Dugtrio, attempting to... he must have thought maybe he could live a Fire Fang or something, or maybe he predicted the King Gambit to come in, one of the two. But Dragon Claw comes out, clean KO on Dugtrio. Really unfortunate for Logan, because Dugtrio I think is really powerful in terms of its ability to trap, and he did not get to do much of that this season with Dugtrio. I think my takeaway for Dugtrio this season is in a terrestrialization meta, it's not very good at trapping things because they can just change types. If we change the Terra rules, which I've had a couple of talks with people about, Dugtrio might be a little bit better, but it's pretty easy to just go like, oh, as long as you don't Terra from something that's weak to Earthquake into something that's weak to Earthquake, you're never trapped by Dugtrio, and you can always beat it 1v1. So, something to look out for. But let's continue with this battle. So Dougie's out of the way. Colossal's going to come in. Speaking of Terras, We've got this tearing into a water type. I feel like that was pretty obviously gonna happen. Like, you wouldn't bring in Colossal unless you were just, like, sacking it, like, in that situation. So it takes a good opportunity to get that hit off and then get up rocks there, because obviously that's a big switch out. Jolteon's a good candidate for that. Iron Moth comes and gets a special attack boost. It's going to be hard for him to play around King Gambit. Yeah, there, King Gambit's got the KO already. I think at this point you may be hoping that King Gambit's choiced in some way. I think this is that's a good call there to switch out. Yeah, and see we got the scarf showing. Like, he needs a flinch here. Yep, he would need another flinch to get past his Jolteon. But even if he doesn't flinch here, this Jolteon can't come back in until these rocks are cleared. But that's beneficial. Oh, and then we have the Scarf Espeon, something we didn't catch last time. Takes out the Jolteon. Oh wait, that's not Scarf? Why was that? That's just a slow Jolteon. You know, something I guess I'm learning about Jabron's building. That's odd. Because I think even with modest Jolteon should have been able to outspeed Espeon. So that's an interesting one. Gambit's gonna come out. It's a Kowtow Cleave after the Morning Sun there. It's weird. I mean, I don't think Logan had a good switch in there. Like, nothing was gonna switch into a Kowtow Cleave really well. Maybe he just decided he didn't need Espeon. I guess that. See, yeah, okay. This was the best way to go for that. You really need a lot of leftovers recovery if you want Colossal to get out of this, but the overheat, King Gambit's gonna drop down to this burn damage here. Yes. So Logan gets out of this with 2 kills, which is honestly more than he probably should have gotten, all things considered. I'm surprised he's saving that 20% Colossal. I mean, I guess why wouldn't you? Like, you have a pretty safe switch in Corviknight here, so why not switch into Colossal? Iron defense is up, but he's running that special Talonflame. So, pretty unfortunate. This is physical Talonflame. Maybe... Nah, there's no way he's getting past Toxapex is the problem. But, yeah, I think this wraps it up for Jabron. Jabron, I was bamboozled, okay? Jabron was described to me as someone who didn't have experience in the format, which is true, but apparently he's oh boy, I got this framed up bad, sorry guys. Apparently he's a pretty experienced VGC player, so he came in here with a lot of Pokemon experience, just maybe not a lot of Draft League experience, but turns out if you're good at Pokemon, you can pick up Draft League pretty easy. So, that is the 1 versus 4 seed over in the East. Let's move on to the 2 versus 3 seed. So Curtis got to face Brett here by beating Logan. Brett, what games did he drop this year? He lost a game to Jabron late in the season. I think that's the only game he lost. Let me double check here. Yeah, that's the only game he lost right here at the end of the season. But since they were both 6-1, Jabron gets the edge there because he's got the head-to-head win. So, pretty typical team that Brett's been bringing. We've been seeing a lot of Crocalor, a lot of Screamtail, two very good defensive mons that, you know, having used Screamtail myself, I really do think that Screamtail is an interesting Pokemon in terms of how defensive it is, how disruptive it can be defensively, but it is easy to play around, so you kind of have to play aggressive with it. So that way people can't take over because of the passivity. Like, it doesn't even 2-hit KO with Dazzling Gleam a lot of, like, fighting types. Like, I don't think it would, or, you know, things it's super effective against. I don't think it would 2-hit KO either Jugulus or Salamence, for example. But Curtis has been having a pretty good season. I think we've seen a lot of good stuff out of Salamence. Iron Treads, I haven't been super impressed with, but I do feel like it's actually more of a, like, utility Pokemon more than, like, a big offensive threat. Its speed and typing is fantastic. Rapid Spinners are hard to come by, especially ones that are also Stealth Rockers and have multiple immunities. Yeah, but let's get into this battle here. So, Got the lead treads versus Roaring Moon. Crunch comes out right away. So Roaring Moon, again, having used it, I really do think that probably the more consistent set on it is Choice Band, which I think we're seeing here. Is a pretty defensive Iron Treads. You saw the damage from Body Press combined with how little it took from Crunch. I think this might be Choice Band. I could be wrong. Maybe it's something like Boots or something. Actually, let's see if it... Okay, it doesn't pop Leftovers. I would have been immediately disproven and been embarrassed. But I do think Roaring Moon's more consistent set is Bandit's more threatening set is Dragon Dance, but it's harder to make that work, especially in a Terra meta. So we're going to get the hard switch out into Breloom, knockoff comes out, good play there, knocks off the Expert Belt. I don't think that'll come in too much play here, but comes out to this Bullet Seed, gets only 3 hits unfortunately. If he wants to roll the dice, you know, not the loaded dice and go for another Bullet Seed, that would have been good. Yeah, but only got 2 hits, so it wouldn't have even KO'd the Hatterene in that situation. Gets the Spore on Muck, see how many sleep turns he gets. Garg's gonna come out. I think Garg's probably gonna try to set up here. Rodent Wash comes out. Ooh, the Salt Cure. They immediately get that. Oh, but we see the Covert Cloak pop right there. So no additional Salt Cure damage. Really good set by Curtis there to... He knew what his check to Garganackle had to be. And I think people learned as the season went on better and better ways to deal with Garg. I think when you know Garg's coming and you can plan very specifically for it, like on the ladder, if you throw Covert Cloak on there and then you don't run into Garganackle, it's a little bit harder to justify the prep that you put in for it. But in Draft League, when you know it's going to be there, it's just like, okay, here's my Garg check. We got the Nasty Plot come up here versus the Bramblegast. Fantastic terrestrialization into Fire. I, when watching this live, was expecting like a Dark Pulse or maybe a Shadow, probably Dark Pulse to come out. But just unbelievable going into the Terra Fire. That's a big one. This is a fantastic set for him. Like Crunch, yeah, that did a lot, but it's not gonna be able to KO. Resisted Hydro Pump managed to KO there. Brendan's gonna come out, obviously go for a Mach Punch. Have to go for the Mach Punch in that spot. Monk's already burned 2 turns of sleep. Let's see, he got the full 3-turn sleep. A little unfortunate, but I don't think he really lost anything. Toxic Spikes are gonna go up. That's gonna be bad for Crocalor, Screamtail, and Breloom, honestly. But Muck's job right here, I think, is mostly done. I think his job is going to be to want to try to wear down this Garganackle as much as possible, but once the Iron Defense goes up... Oh, and he's got Haze! Forgot about that. Just really good prep by Curtis here. And also, too. Yeah, so he probably didn't need to run too much speed to stay ahead of this Salty Boy. But, I mean, just a really good job with the prep there. Even while Salt Cured, he's able to kind of stay ahead of the game and stay healthy with Drain Punches. Now, Brett hasn't used a Terra here. Maybe that is something, I don't know what his Terra on Garganackle was, but I also don't know if it would have mattered at that point. Like, if he was Terra Dragon or something, probably would have been good. But that's hard to expect him to do. It's probably more like Terra Fighting. But yeah, Iron Jugulus is coming out and really putting in the work in this Crocalor. I don't think Brett has like a good way out at this point. Kind of a rough spot. Like, yeah, Rocks will go up here. That's nice to have up, but he doesn't have a great win con right now. With how strongly Curtis has prepped for this team. So Garganackle can't be poisoned even with the Toxic Spikes up, so that's good. So Brett's just running he's just running down this Muck now as much as he can. I think he's gonna try. Breloom's gonna try to put this to sleep. I'll go with Rock type. Rock Tomb, not enough to put the Muck out. Dodges the Gunk Shot. That's honestly a pretty big deal. Hatterene's gonna come in on another Rock Tomb. Yeah. So good news is Brett's starting to clear out the things that could give Garganackle a lot of trouble. Because Garg's going to try to set up here, but the Moxie boost might end up being too much. Especially because he already used the Terra. Even with an Iron Defense. Yeah, he'll probably live this next one and recover up. But, oh, never mind, I was wrong. 68, should have done half. Half of that is 30. Yeah, So it must be a low roll, high roll situation. But Brett got out prepped here. Curtis, like the Terrifier with the Covert Cloak, fantastic. Haze, Drain Punch, Toxic Spikes on Muck, super niche, super good here. I'm guessing this Iron Jugular with the booster energy was probably designed in some way to be able to outspeed Roaring Moon, if that got set up at all. I feel like this feels like Banded Salamence, maybe Scarf, I'm not sure. But just overall, very good counter teaming. Like, this is the kind of team that Draft League is about, in my opinion. You get some really niche, weird sets that end up coming through for you. Well done to Curtis here. I think he might have played more games than anybody this season, since he played a play-in game to get to the quarterfinals, and now he's headed to semis after this one. But that wraps up our coverage of the East. So this led to a Curtis versus Jabron East Finals match, which we're going to cover in the next video. But right now, we're going to move on to the West. So, just a reminder, we've got my team taking on Mike and the Washington Commanders, and then we also have... Oh, no, that's not true. Oh, yeah, no, that is this round. And then we have Zach taking on Dakota. Interesting for that one is that's the last game Zach played was against Dakota. Dakota had to win a game against Mitch to make it to that. I don't remember the specifics of that game because I haven't watched it in a while, but you know, I think I would have to imagine Dakota ran Scarf Florges and got kills with it because that was his MO. Did a little postseason look into, just because Florges, we're going to run ahead over the MVPs page, which we'll dive into more later, but Florges had 17 KOs this season. Very well done, but in terms of KOs on the Dragonites specifically, here's the Dragonites team. 17 KOs out of a total of 41. So nearly half of the KOs on Dakota's team were from Florges. So if Florges wasn't getting KOs, nobody was getting KOs. Only how many total Pokemon? Only 7 Pokemon on his roster ended up getting KO'd. So he put all of his faith in Florges to do all of his work. Interesting thing, but let's jump into my game versus Mike. So this game, and I hate that I talk about my games more in depth, but I have more insight to them, so that's what's going to happen. So, at the Cyclizar lead versus, I expected Tauros to be here, but honestly, just even on that U-turn, I knew that this wasn't defensive Tauros. Also on that close combat, able to tell not defensive Tauros, which was big, because I was really worried that I was going to have a harder time breaking through it with Roaring Moon. Happy to get up rocks there, pretty safe turn for me to do so. I was so excited when I came up with this set for Berserker. That U-turn out there was kind of an obvious thing, because I'm just like, okay, he's going to have like Recover, Poison Jab, Earthquake, maybe Haze, or maybe Toxic Spikes. He's going to be walled, so I'm going to have to switch. Me hitting the U-turn on Clodsire is actually super disappointing, because that means he has something to hit this Berserker, which is disappointing. So I'm going to go into Scream Tail just because I know he's not going for a poison move. Scout out that Stone Edge. I don't think, since I have Stealth Rock, I don't think I have, yeah. So Poison Jab is going to come out here. I know I need to just start trying to lay into this team as much as possible. Just try to get chip on them, because there's no Wish Passers here. So I just need to start chipping stuff. And I know his best switch-in is this Paldean Tauros, which doesn't have leftovers recovery, doesn't have any recovery of any sort, so I know I can eventually get through it. So able to catch the Wish there. I debated not Terroring here because Freeze Dry couldn't KO me from Cryogonal, and I'd be able to KO it with Iron Head. So I thought about just leaving it, but better to be safe than sorry. Take very little damage from Freeze Dry, get off this Iron Head. Rapid Spinner's gone. That's a big threat to Vaporeon that's off the board. As long as Vaporeon doesn't get statused, which, based on the Cloudsire's moveset, I didn't think was too much of a problem, then Vaporeon's in a pretty good spot, right? Then Tauros is going to come out, makes a lot of sense. Easy switch into Screamtail. He's going to go for the Earthquake here, predicting the Screamtail. Wants to get off at least some damage. Wish is going to go up. I think I protect here? Yeah, I gotta stay healthy. See the Earthquake come out. Now, I think the smart move by him would be to go for a Stone Edge here. He goes for the Poison Jab. Little conservative, but, you know, will work. At that point, I was willing to get my Air Balloon popped just to get some good damage on this Clodsire. It didn't end up coming to fruition there. This Clodsire is going to come out here. I'm going to go hard into Berserker because I don't think he's going to go for a Stone Edge there. It'd be kind of wild. Here, went for the Iron Head. Happy with the damage that did. 30% chance I get a flinch, and I get to preserve my Balloon and deal this damage to this Clodsire. At this point, I am getting interested because his last move's gotta be Recover, right? But he hasn't had to click it. Now he might be in a position where he has to click it next turn. So the Stone Edge come out. I think I U-turn here, because why would he stay in? Yeah. Yeah, he couldn't afford to stay in. We're gonna get Vaporeon to come out just so that way I can get some. I want to start doing stuff here. So we're gonna throw this Wish up. I got 2 Wish Pokemon, very annoying. That Draco Meteor Mist didn't really matter since I had a Wish in the air and it wouldn't have done a ton of damage. Yeah, I mean, it would, yeah, okay. I say it wouldn't have done a ton. It would have done a ton of damage, but I would have gotten all that back from Wish anyways, so it didn't matter too much. I think what kind of made it matter more is the fact that he still wanted the damage, and that meant I could stay in, like, I got the Ice Beam damage and another Wish in the air. So pretty beneficial for me. I'm going to go for a Surf there, because I know he's not going to stay in and chew another Ice Beam. The fact that Clodsire's not coming in tells me that it's unaware and not Water Absorb. That crit's a big deal. I'm not going to pretend it's not, but what is also a big deal for me is the fact that this thing doesn't have pressure. That if it had pressure, I'm in a much harder spot here because I can't be spamming these Surfs like this, and I'm stalling out a lot of his Roosts. I need to get rid of those. He's down to 6 Roosts already. His Body Press is not doing a ton of damage. The Wish Pokemon in this metagame, I think, are very good. Between Wish and Protect, sure, you're chewing up 2 move pools. Move slots, rather. It's not quite as much, like, reliable recovery, you know? But the benefit is that you have so much more PP. You can win Stall Wars with Wish Protect that you just can't with Roost. So much harder, especially with, like, the way that pressure works. It doesn't chew up, even if he did have pressure, I'd still have 12 Roosts here, because since it's not a targeting move, I'm not targeting this thing with Wish or Protect. I don't use up double of them. So even against a pressure Pokemon, I have 32. I have 32 turns I can survive. Kind of a big deal. But I'm still chewing through these Roosts here. I think I probably should have gotten more aggressive and gone into Sandy Shocks or something earlier. But I'm content just clicking Surf because he doesn't have a good switch in. I want to chew up his... like I said, I have the advantage in this situation. Let's speed it up a little bit until something changes. You guys see what's happening. He's hoping for a crit. You know, I feel like that's his only hope to be able to get through this. He's shown off his whole moveset. I probably could have, like, made a move on him quicker because I know it's not that scary. He's going to U-turn out. How many Roosts did he use up there? He got down to 2 Roosts. He's at 67, so another one's going to have to be coming soon. So U-turned out there as I have a Wish in the air. I think I calced this and determined that I'd be able to live. Okay, so we see the Protect come out. I calced that U-turn. I know I can live from full. I'm pretty sure I stay in. Yeah, that does quite a bit of damage. I throw another Wish up, and we're right back to where we were. He's going to U-turn out here. I go for the Surf on this turn. I do. That's good damage there. Happy with that. Again, I know I can live. Something I didn't really take into account is the fact that he could go for Leech Life. I didn't, like, really take into... I'm like, oh, I can live a Leech Life. Didn't take into account how much HP he'd be getting back. So, shame on me for not considering that. But I got rewarded with a crit. Which makes a big difference. Because I would not have KO'd How much did Surf do last time to this thing? Councilman Jam lost 59%, plus 83 there. And he did 51%. So I would have just like protected and then probably hard switched into. I don't really have any good options. Okay, his low kicks was gonna be a problem for my team if I didn't get that crit. I lucked out here. I still think I could win with the team given, but it does become significantly harder if I don't get that crit. But now, like, no real fear for Vaporeon here. Even with that Thunderbolt, I know he's specs, I think, based on all this stuff, and he makes a good call here to go into the Paldean Tauros. He turns into a ground type. I kinda... This is kind of a toss-up, because I'm like, okay, Thunderbolt can KO, but... yeah, he went for it. He tried to make a call, hoping I'd go for a Thunderbolt or a Volt Switch or something, which I did consider. But I catch him with the Earth Power there, and at this point, he doesn't have a good way out. Screamtail's going to come in on the Draco, no fear there. I'm going to throw a Wish up in the air. Oh, just hardened to Sandy Shocks, good for me. And then, yeah, but the thing is, I haven't showed, he's playing me like I'm Choice, because I'm kind of playing it that way. I think I try to knock him off. Oh, Ice Spinner. A weird call by me, but I guess it would have KO'd the Clodsires. If I want to get rid of his leftovers, that's going to help my Vaporeon if I have to try to beat this thing with Vaporeon. Because now he's only getting, from Roosts, he's only getting 50% rather than 57% because of leftovers. And at this point, I don't think I'm in a real losing spot. Because the Dragapult is on low HP, can't really beat me. He's just got to try to flinch me down with these Iron Heads, which he does a good job of trying to do. So, well done there. Going for it, but he's only got 2 Roosts left. He can't beat this Vaporeon 1v1, and I've had enough of it at this point, and I'm just like, I'm gonna get him. Okay? I go for the Earth Power, because I'm trying to catch that Clodsire. He thinks he's got me here, he's got me choice locked, but I'm Expert Belt. So I get him there. At this point, I'm just going to get damage. I know I can't KO this Clodsire, but at least get this low. I thought he was going to recover there, and I'm like, I can start to burn these recovers. Berserker gets a KO there, but it turns out I think he was Haze as his last move, which I think is smart. But at this point, there's nothing he can lock himself into that can beat my whole team. So I'm just going to let Vaporeon come out here and get the last KO. So, good game by Mike, especially in, like, this is his second season, but it's kind of his, like, bounce back season. We've seen rookies come in and kind of get, for lack of a better word, throttled. He didn't really have that bad of a season last season, but a big jump forward to make it to the playoffs here. So well done by him. That allows me to move on to the conference finals against the winner of this game. We've got Dakota versus Zach. Dakota, so he beat Mitch last week, which we discussed. Oh yeah, we predicted what he was going to do. This is a long recording, sorry guys. Actually, it's not even that long, it just feels long. So Zach's coming in with the team that we've seen him bring quite a bit. Skeledirge has been very scary. Meowscarada we underestimated. Also underestimated Tinkaton. Really thought that the lack of impressive physical attack was going to hamper it, but it's got one of the best types in the games. It's decently bulky. It's got good speed, and Gigaton Hammer, despite being a shitty attack stat, is still no joke. And then, like, T-Wave Rocks, knock off, great moves for it. Donphan, I've also been impressed with his usage of. I don't think it's, like, worth bumping up, but Donphan's good. People like Donphan for a reason, and I love the Arboliva. I feel like it's actually been doing pretty good. Love it. Dakota's team, we've seen these bulky boys have been around, okay? I think that Dakota's, the shortcomings of his teams, which we kind of touched on a little bit when we talked about his stats, is that he went so bulky and neglected his offense that Florges has become his offense, which I think is kind of the mark of a flawed team. When your defensive Pokemon is your leading offensive KO getter, and you have to run it Scarfed, as we see right here so many weeks. So he catches him off guard, gets the Scarf KO there. But valuable information gained by Zach. So he's able to come in and get a safe Rocks up. and they trade rocks with Ting-Lu. Noivern's gonna come out here, get Volt switched on. What do we see come in? The Tinkaton's gonna come right back in. Flamethrower from Noivern's the only thing that could kind of scare this thing, and he's gonna U-turn right out of there. Hard into Ting-Lu. What do we see come out? The knockoff. That's big for Ting-Lu. Ting-Lu is dealt with a lot like Tapu Fini was back in the old days, where it's just like it doesn't have recovery, so you got to get rid of knockoff. Just get rid of its leftovers. It can't live forever if it doesn't have recovery, right? So Rapid Spin comes out. I don't think this is even still faster than this offensive Scarf Florges. Giga Drain comes out here. So it does show that it has good coverage for what's on the. Ting-Lu's gonna come out. It's interesting. It's coming out as a check to a fairy type, which is pretty interesting. But he must know that it can't be threatened too bad by play rough. Glaceon's gonna come out. No heavy duty boots for Glaceon. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. Glaceon's gonna be faster unless yeah. I was gonna say unless the Donphan is vested. But not faster than Tinkaton. We see the Gigaton Hammer come out. Good news for Dakota, and I think he takes good advantage of it there. He knows that Gigaton Hammer can't come out here on turn 14, just use 13. So he goes into Garganac, which I think is a good call. Let's see what I'm hoping he goes for like an Iron Defense or something. No, he goes for Salt Cure, which is also acceptable. It's going to help chip away at this Tinkaton by quite a bit. But he's afraid of the Gigaton Hammer coming here. Hard into the Ting-Lu, predicts that right, but you know, buying turns against this Tinkaton, that's good. Body Press comes out, doesn't do a lot of damage. Yeah, and Ting-Lu's off the board. See, couldn't recover because it didn't have his leftovers. Really comes into play later. I believe is going to come out. Did a Terra Fire come out? Fantastic prediction by Dakota. He knew he had two potential switch-ins to an obvious Giga Drain. Well, three. I guess he could have gone Skeledirge. But went for the Terra Fire here. Catches the Arboliva. Grassy Terrain goes up, which is beneficial for Dakota if he can get a little bit of HP back on this. Surprised he didn't... Oh, yeah. Okay, so he gets the Noivern in here. Defogs away, you know, all that stuff. But he doesn't have a good way to deal with Skeledirge now. Honestly, looking at it, once Skeledirge terastallized, he didn't have a good way of dealing with it, period. Outside of Garganackle, I guess. But I don't think this is the way you want to try to get through a Garganackle, right? Or sorry, get through a Skeledirge is just like that 1/8 chip on Salt Cure. So Florges is going to come out. Terra Blast would have done like very little damage to Skeledirge, but you know, it's probably your only play you can go for there. Dodges the Hydro Pump. This is a good spot for him. Yeah, he's running, I believe that's Scarf Gallade, probably Scarf Gallade. Gets a KO here. I think it was probably, oh no, I guess that was the right. Giga Drain's Garganackle. Now Dakota's not in a terrible spot here. If he can pick up a KO with Florges right here, then Gallade's faster than everything. And everything with the exception of Arboliva is weakened, so I think he's in an okay spot here. We see good damage come in from the Arboliva. It's not going to be able to stay ahead of the game with... Okay, double switch here. Yeah, catches Skeledirge here. Good double switch by Dakota. I like that a lot. Says Gallade's in. I believe, so Grassy Terrain's up. Leaf Blade is sharpness boosted. I think Leaf Blade would KO anything on the field, even if he goes hard into Arboliva or Tinkaton. I don't remember what he clicks here. Goes for Psycho Cut. I think that's a terrible play, for the reasons I just discussed. I think, yeah, Leaf Blade, because it's Grassy Terrain boosted, maybe it wouldn't have done as much as I'm saying. I still think that that's probably what you go for, because you also have the crit chance. But it still would have done more. I think that's probably what you do, because now this Gallade's in kind of a bad spot. You see you come back out to the Florges. Okay, ends up with a Tinkaton there. We're going to see a Terra Blast come off here, I would imagine. The Skeledirge, yeah, not a 2-hit KO, especially with the Grassy Terrain recovery. But he's just going to try to blast through it. I think an aggressive play there by Zach to just go for the shadow ball, which I kind of get, but he can just go ahead and sack his Arboliva. But hey, we're back up to the grassy terrain being up. So that Earthquake doesn't do as much damage as it could have because the grassy terrain's up. So Leaf Blade's going to come out and do a pretty good amount of damage here. There we go. Picks up the KO there. Fortunately, he needs a crit on the Tinkaton. Maybe have a chance here. But, you know, knockoff here comes out. Now the Florges is going to be slower than this, and Grassy Terrain's going to be gone by the time Gallade comes back out. So, and plus that is like 4 extra turns of recovery there. Yeah, we see the Sacred Sword come out. That did great damage. Sacred Sword's gonna not quite be able to pick up the 2-hit KO here. It came very close here. Sacred Sword obviously can't crit. Or it can crit, but doesn't have a high crit ratio like his other. I think the sack there on Florges might not have been the right play. I think you keep hammering away with the Leaf Blade personally. But you know, that's in the past. Zach's gonna come away with another win here. Beats Dakota in back-to-back games. But honestly, just hanging on here. Beast Boy coming in clutch here. But that wraps up our season quarterfinals, conference semifinals. I probably should have worked on the branding a little bit better there. But I'm going to roll right into a recording talking about the conference finals / semifinals. So stay tuned. The next video will be coming out shortly after this one. So goodbye.